And welcome back to another episode of A Toy Kind of Mood. I'm your co-host, Bobby Bear, and with me is special guest, Eric. What's up, buddy?
Oh, hey, how's it going, guys?
So, kind of off the popularity of our whole Marvel Legends Smash or Pass, we're doing Transformers, Autobots roll out or hold out. All right, so we got quite a slew, if you will, of Transformers. Eric, you are the Transformers guru of the group. So let me just ask you, straight off the bat, how'd you feel overall about the releases?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't mind it. There was some stuff that you knew was coming out. Right. There's some stuff that's been hinted at for a while. Some stuff you guys saw at SDCC. Mm-hmm. But all in all, I mean, to have all six guys, all six people there doing their presentation, mm-hmm. It was pretty cool. It went very smooth.
Nice. And you know what? That was the one thing I'll give Hasbro outside of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. For the most part, they always run smoothly. They really do. So you know what? Let's dive into the figures, and we'll see if we are going to roll out or hold out. All right, and for me, I'm very much a Generation 1 Transformer, so a lot of these I'm like, don't know about. Some, yes. Some are very easy for me rollouts, but let's start with you. Dead End.
Dead End. Well, Dead End is actually the most popular of all the Decepticons. He's actually, at one point, the name has been used a few times. He was tied in with Unicron for a bit. He was a leading character in Cyberverse. So he's kind of like the Swindle of that group, where he's had the most notoriety of everybody. Oh. So this might be some people who might get them just because of the name, but now that's, as they joked on the video, Minosaur is now, he's got both arms. He just got to finish a leg day. So they're waiting for that one last guy to finish him off. I personally, I didn't get any other parts of it, so unfortunately, he's a pass for me. Gotcha. I'm kind of hoping they're going to try to do like a box set of the whole thing, because then I'll do it. But you weren't sure how long things were going to get stretched out. So doing it, thinking you might get maybe like one every 6 months or a year, just didn't really. I figured I'd either wait till it all came out or try to wait for that box set. So for me right now, it's a holdout.
All right, makes sense. What about Point Blank and Peacemaker?
That is a most definite yes. That's a rollout. Okay. I remember him vividly from when I was a kid, because I'm old. It's he's one of the Target Masters, and he's one of the few that haven't been redone over the years. I think the biggest reason why they actually pushed to get him out and found the extra budget for the gun is because the gun's name's Peacemaker, which predates the stuff at DC. So that's their way of trying to hold on to that license.
Gotcha. Honestly, for me, looking at the pictures, this might be a rollout as well. I actually dig the way it looks, and this might be something I go with. Skullgrin. I
am still on the fence with him. I made my purchases earlier today. I'm on the fence with him. I love the figure. I think he looks great. I am, as I said before, I'm the old man of the group, so to speak. I remember him being the Pretender shell with a robot inside. I do like the fact that they're trying to make it work, mm-hmm. But it looks phenomenal. I'm like 75% rollout, 25% holdout.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am with a lot of my figures. Is like, they look great on screen. It's let me see how it looks in hand. But for me, this is a complete holdout. I have no affiliate, no for the character.
I think one thing that they could have done, and it would have made it a lot better, is because, and it wouldn't have really probably changed much, But when he's in a rope, because they use basically the inside shell body, but just put the monster head on it.
Mhm.
If they had made the helmet like removable, and you had the classic robot head, and you could have the option of putting that on, that could have been a really cool way of segueing to have both, because they can, when he transforms, you can just put the helmet back on him, and it's all set.
That would have been cool.
That would have been a nice way of trying to appease both sides. But it's a phenomenal figure.
All right. Lastly, for the legacy, it's gonna be Crankcase.
That is a big old rollout for me.
Okay.
It's such an obscure character. If you knew who the Trigger Masters were, you probably didn't care then either. It's just an excuse to reuse that same body over and over again. I mean, they've already used it. This is like the 5th or 6th time they've used that body. You know, it's
really,
yeah. It's been reused a couple different times. Skids, reboots, something else, and it's just basically they're just using it for every iteration of it. Okay.
Yeah, for me, big old holdout. Yeah. Now, this is where my wallet will get a little ding. Ironhide.
Absolutely.
Roll out.
You know what? It's that guy. I mean, I still hear Peter Cullen speaking whenever I see him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This is the first time that we've had a true, accurate version, not the old-fashioned. I mean, keep in mind, he did get his head blown off in the movie for Studio 86.
God, yeah, I know.
So that's a great joke for having the classic figures, because the head's not really there. But it's but man, to have that version right there and it looks accurate, must.
Yeah. The minute and actually I just did it like 30 minutes ago because I didn't know. You're like, oh, I got Ironhide. I'm like, I was going through the notes. I'm like, I got Iron. Okay, snatched it up. Yeah, it was so easy. Ratchet.
I have pre-ordered them because I'm collecting the entire 86 line. I'm very disappointed in it.
Really?
I'm not a big on the core class, but but it's, you know, at the time when I ordered it, they hadn't unveiled the larger scale with Ironhide, which you know will come out to there.
Yes.
But it looks pretty cool for what it is.
Yeah.
I want full size, not mini bots. Unless it's Armada.
Now, how small is small?
Core classes are not very big. I have one. On a whim, wanted to try one out, and I got one of the what's his face?
Soundwave.
Soundwave. Thank you. I'm having a brain freeze right now. I mean, they're cool. They're fun. They're pretty posable, but they just look cheap as hell.
Then this will be a holdout then, because I want full size. Not full, but I want
Yeah, I mean, on the flip side of that too, though, is when they released Daniel, it makes more sense to have Daniel in that suit, which was at that size. But to have
that worked. Well, yeah, because Daniel should be smaller than.
Right. So for me, that works. That's the only reason why I started collecting the core classes for it, because the lineup with that.
Now, if you watch the show, you know I'm pretty big into getting the heroes, not really the villains. So Armada Starscream for me is going to be a holdout. How about for you?
If you like heroes, you should be getting Starscream.
Really?
Armada Starscream is one of the most pivotal characters of the show. He's kind of more like a samurai, where he's indebted to. He's not quite like classic Starscream, where he's trying to take over. He actually has a sense of honor, and through the show, he actually starts changing and actually joins up with the Autobots. He actually gets possession of the Star Saber, and they actually start teaching him humility. And he actually has one of the most memorable deaths where he squares off against Megatron for the honor of the many bots and the Autobots.
Really? All right. Well, then he will go to 75% rollout. I'll see how it looks in hand.
All right.
I want to assume you're rolling out with this one.
I'm definitely rolling out with him.
All right, sounds good. And then Predacon Inferno.
He, as beautiful as that is, I do not like Beast Wars and not touching it.
Yeah, I'm holding out to all right, Transmetal Megatron.
That is a beautiful, beautiful figure. It's still a holdout for me.
Yeah.
But man, that thing is impressive. From every little scale, all the paint, all the double joints with the head, where everything's a ball joint.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you love Megatrons and if you love the Dragon Megatron there, this is the figure that you've been waiting for all your life.
Now, let me ask you this, because we've been going on, and I should have probably brought this up, but do you feel that the price points for these figures are matching up with what they cost?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I understand why Ironhide is a lot more. They had to basically put a whole lot of redevelopment into him.
Right.
So he's not around the 24. He's a 24, 26. He's 33.
33.99. Yep.
Because he is the first of a new format of trying to do that Vans like those legs that pop off the roof and stuff. It's a whole different configuration. They had to put a lot of work into them.
Okay.
But the deluxes at $24.99, that's not bad. That's if it's between 20 and 24, 25, it's okay. If it's really more than that, there needs to be a reason for it.
Yeah. And that's kind of been our issue with Marvel Legends as of late. Is the fact that we're just getting like a figure for 25, and it's like, wait, no. At least with Transformers, you can like change them.
Yeah.
You get 2 toys for the price of 1, kinda.
So like using the Megatron as an example.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a couple years ago, it would have been $50. It's at that price point. So this right here is at 54. Right. So it's not that bad of a slide. I mean, for the most part, everything went up about $3 to $4.
Yeah.
So it's not horrible, but the downside, if it continues doing that, they're gonna outprice a lot of people.
Yeah. And then finally, the last 3 we've got Hot Rod from the movie, I think, right? From
last night.
This is tough. This is tough for me because I love Hot Rod and I love Lamborghinis, but it's not Hot Rod. Does that make sense to you? Okay, good. You sure? Okay, that makes sense. Because look, like I love Hot Rod. I've actually got Hot Rod, and Hot Rod is like red and orange.
Yep.
Not a like. And look, if it was any other Transformer that was a Lamborghini, done.
I feel your pain. I mean, I want to just backtrack a little bit, and there has been a few times where Rodimus has been black. In the Cyberverse, he's been black. When they did, when he became Rodimus Unicronus, he became black and purple.
That's true.
So I mean, there is a little bit of history with him becoming that. As a way of trying to do like a Nemesis kind of version of Prime that can do a Nemesis version of Rodimus.
Sure.
The downside of this one was it didn't fit the classic look of the character. There was the spoiler wasn't there. The engine block wasn't in the front. He wasn't. I mean, his position was the Autobot Cavalier, and instead he's the Frenchman hiding in a castle. He spoke with the cheap French accent, and him and his time gun. it was meant to be goofy, but it was too much for me. If they had called it somebody else, I would have been perfectly fine with it.
I never watched was it Last Extinction and Last Night. After Transformers 3, I'm like, I'm done. I had to bail.
Did you do Bumblebee at least?
I loved Bumblebee.
I loved Bumblebee.
Love, you know, and watching that, like I watched that in like the first like 10 minutes. I'm like, where the hell were these?
Yeah.
Like the only reason I didn't buy the Bumblebee Transformer figures is because when you transform them, they were the Cybertronian figures, and they weren't like the Bumblebee, and like the Soundwave was beautiful, but when you collapsed him, he went into like a Cybertronian like hovercraft. I'm like, no, I need the boombox.
Yeah, but that Soundwave figure bombed. I mean, that you can find it online for like $10 off already. Really?
Okay, I might pick it up because that robot form is just beautiful.
The robot's fine, but they had to find a form to kind of put it into, and it didn't fit any of his classic forms. If you had made him into like the street lamp, like he was when you first saw him in the cartoon, that could have been appropriate. If you turned him into some sort of like ship, but it was just when you get the hovercraft, there's just like certain things sticking out. It was just a very lazy attempt, and nobody was really happy with it.
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm gonna hold out until I see it in hand for this hot rod.
I mean, they were touting, saying they figure it's going to call it the figure of the year. And they said they put a lot of work into it. And you can see a lot of the work that they put in there. Mm-hmm. But it's just my general disdain for the Bayverse and the fact that they made them French wasn't big enough for me to say no.
Yeah.
But my friend Andrew's already pre-ordered 3 of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He loves that figure. That and Cogman. He's waiting for a Cogman.
You know what? And you know, like we said, like, look, if that's your bag, that's your deal. Have fun with it.
He actually drives a Bumblebee car, the Camaro.
That is bad. I actually did not mind the Camaro. It was a gorgeous car. Next, Crosshairs.
Crosshairs. Was all right. It wasn't anything fantastic. For me, it's a pass.
That's gonna be one of those ones where I wait for it in hand, because once again, I love the car. Don't really care about the robot, but the car looks great, so I might get it for the Corvette.
I had a theory on that, because one of the things they talk about in the presentation was the comics, mm-hmm. and brought up the last Autobot. If you have been reading the series, it's the last Autobot is Rodimus, and he's basically in like a Old West kind of town. That figure could be converted into a Rodimus as the last Autobot. They could be like a deluxe version for that. So they can use that as the Duster. I mean, he had 2 different forms. He had his car and like a wagon, but I could see that being converted and rekibbled into that.
That'd be dope. Yeah. Okay. Still gonna pre-order. I'll wait for it in here, but I like that. And then finally, The Fallen.
For me, it's a pass. Mm-hmm. I will say that anybody who likes The Fallen, this is the first figure since the movie came out, outside of a couple random things. The only way this figure is going to get any better is if you do a masterpiece. It's a very hard figure to kind of change and do. Okay. When you see it reminds me almost of Stargate, because it's very Egyptian looking. But when I saw some random pictures of it today, it actually, instead of looking like a plane, it actually kind of reminded me of Serpentor's hover chair.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a unique looking figure that's been through a few different iterations, a few different color changes and stuff. But it's a great looking figure, but it's Bayverse, and I won't touch it.
Fair. I mean, look, the Bayverse, after that first. I liked the first one. I really liked that first Transformers, and then it just went downhill very quickly. And if I remember correctly, it's because then the guys who wrote that also did Star Trek, right?
Yes, but what happened with the second one is they were filming it during just at the start of the writers' block.
Writer strike, gotcha.
So it was right at that time, and they had like 98% of it done. So the producers ended up finished writing it, and they went right to shop while everybody else was on strike.
Ooh.
So it wasn't allowed to get rewrites.
That makes a lot of sense. I used to joke that the writers were like would jump off of Transformers as fast as possible to go do Star Trek. They're like, oh, yeah, it's done. Star Trek.
Nope, they were doing both.
All right. You know what? Kind of shows. At least for the Transformers side. I love that Star Trek trilogy, but yeah, that Transformers first one great, second one meh, third one. Once Optimus did the double tap, I'm sorry, I was done.
Yeah. You got when you have killing humans and stuff, and like, yeah, die. Yeah, that was it. That's not Optimus.
Done. All right. So with the figures and the show, what would you what's your grade? What would you give it out of 5?
For presentation and everything, I give it a 5 because they really went out there. I mean, especially with one thing we didn't really talk about was they actually have Transformer stamps by Andrew Wildman and Stephen Baskerville, which look phenomenal. And yes, I did order them. But I mean, some of the selection of figures could have been different. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was interesting to have a line that didn't have a Megatron or an Optimus in it. There wasn't anything like that in there. It was these are all ancillary characters. Yeah. And I thought that was great. A couple choices I would have changed up and maybe put something a little more prominent in there. But all in all, I mean, I give it like a 4.
Okay. 4. Yeah, I'll go with that. I do it for like, going over these with you, and I'm gonna get, because I get Transformers every now and then. I'm not like a Legends or a He-Man figure, but yeah, that Starscream, probably Ironhide. Yeah, I'll see the Ratchet. I'll wait till I see it in the hand. But all right. So a 4 is a very respectable grade. All right. Is there anything else you feel you gotta?
There were some other stuff they announced, but they didn't put it up for pre-sale yet, and I'm sure we'll talk about that when it does become available. We really wanted to just hit on the things that were made available.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, I think we touched on everything.
Perfect. All right. Well, then, for a tour kind of mood, this has been episode 88, Autobots Rollout or Holdout. He is Eric. I am your co-host, Bobby Bear, and we will see you in the tour aisle. Peace.
Peace.